this might be a tough decision right now.
My team did absolutely
NFL games that were like, whoa.
I actually don't
Had a lot of mixed feelings.
Welcome, Disgruntled. We have another guest here on the Legal Domains.
Are we recording?
No.
Oh.
Now we are, since I'm seated. The
I
only
see
way
now.
that we are recording is if I'm actually seated.
That's crazy.
I just have to get a few things off my back before we start this. One.
Your back?
Yeah, like
Not
there's
your chest?
yeah, but there's things on my chest on my back that I need to get rid of. One, I got a fucking flat tire while doing DoorDash.
To
begin my fucking week. And that's how my week started, and it costed me $300. I was doing DoorDash, and I was going.
Just
yeah.
disrespectful of
Yeah.
the world.
That's what I'm saying. But I was doing DoorDash, and I was going too fast around a curve in Philly, and I hit it really hard, and it exploded my tire. But then I further drove on that tire. For like an hour. No, not an hour. Like a mile. And that screwed up my alignment. And then I had to pay for that plus a new tire, which was why it was $300. But someone helped me change the tire, which was really nice. Shout outs to that guy. I don't know who that guy was, but shout outs to the guy in South Philly who helped me out. But I still had orders in my thing, so I was trying to rush to deliver them on a flat tire, and it just didn't work out. But one of the customers canceled, but luckily the other didn't, and I still got my paycheck. But
nice.
We're starting a little late. We were supposed to start at 10 a.m., but it's 10:39 a.m., and that was my fault because I slept in because the previous...
You went to bed early, too. That's oversleeping. That's like 13 hours, man.
Okay, I didn't go to bed at like 9:30. I went to bed at like 11:30.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
Josh told me you went to bed at like 9:30.
Yeah.
Okay. You should turn on the light over there.
Okay.
Just because it's so bright coming from here, we need more fill light to kind of offset it. I don't know.
Film terms.
Barely. I don't know too much about lighting. I
don't know either.
I just know that I needed this light, otherwise I would get a headache. So if you're not living under a rock or within the contiguous United States, football happened.
Yes,
Week 1 of the 2021 season. I don't know how many seasons they've had. Are we at like 50 something? Well, I guess since the Super Bowl started, but they've been doing it before then as well.
Well, it's been Eagles started in 1932, so
at least like 5.
Yeah. At least like
at minimum. And Caleb and I have been looking real deep into football. We have a fantasy football league in which we're both involved in, and we both faced in the championship of the previous season. And we also do predictions of every game and analyze them for you just in case you missed out and don't know what happened in a particular game from the past week. That is what we're here for. This is the podcast where you can come and talk about that. And we talk about a bunch of other things, like who do we think is an MVP front runner, predicting if Trevor Lawrence is going to throw for the most interceptions in a season by a rookie to beat Peyton Manning's record.
Or personal stuff like getting a flat tire at the beginning of the week that screwed up your entire week.
Yeah, things that no one cares about, we'll also talk about.
Yeah, but it's your choice if you want to stay through all of it or not.
Usually we start by going over our week 1 predictions and seeing how we did, and then we move on to week 2 and talk about that. And I also have a little special something that I'm starting this season that I haven't even told Caleb about, but I'm excited to unveil it. We'll do it towards the end. So let's look at how we did to start the week. It was a Thursday night football game, NFL kickoff in Tampa Bay, Super Bowl champions. And you had Dallas come into the stadium prepared. They showed off. They really gave a battle. That's for sure. Dak Prescott did an amazing job despite not having his best offensive lineman and coming off of a terrible injury the season before, but he was balling. Tom Brady threw for 2 interceptions. Neither were his fault, but we're just going to look at that number alone and say he did a bad job because that's that's how most analysts would do it. They don't even watch the game. They just look at numbers, let's be honest.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing Ezekiel Elliott's downfall. I mean, we saw that last season, but I was hoping that it was only not hoping, but I was thinking that it was only going to be like last season alone. But he started off the season not so great.
Well, let's look at the facts, okay?
The facts.
It's a Super Bowl winning team who got all their starters back, and the thing that carried them through the playoffs, you know what wins Super Bowls? The defense. So we already know that their defense is amazing, right?
Yeah.
And then they were without one of their best offensive linemen, and the Cowboys don't have an amazing offensive line to begin with. So you couldn't do much with Ezekiel Elliott. You know, that's how I look at it. Every time they tried, the defense just beat out the offensive line, and Ezekiel had nowhere to go. It really wasn't his fault. I didn't see anything where I was like, oh, he could have, ran somewhere else. Like, he was surrounded from the jump every time. Buccaneers did great on their blitzes, but they just couldn't do it. They couldn't get it done against Dak Prescott in passing because he could just immediately pass it. And his receivers did an amazing job. Amari Cooper had an amazing night. And Buccaneers they have, like, good defensive backs, but none of them are, like, amazing. They're not going to be able to stop CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and Gallup. All three of them, it's going to be hard. So
I think they're just average, or a little bit below average, and that's all you can hope for in this league, honestly. But
you think Cowboys are just average?
Right now, yeah.
What do you think the Eagles are?
A little bit below average.
Okay.
Yeah. Look,
we'll get to that. It's
Yeah.
just interesting to me because for me, it's like, from what I saw, the Cowboys' offense surprised me more
Really?
than the Eagles' offense did.
Wait, why?
Okay, not surprised me, but I think is, like, better. It's like, okay. What I'm trying to say is, like, if I'm going to compare, like, the two teams, it's like Cowboys' offense clearly better, and I wasn't that surprised by the Eagles' performance of their offense. I thought that was, like, a given, and it was just against the Atlanta defense anyways, But the Eagles' defense surprised me more, and I think the Cowboys' defense fell short because, I mean, it is Tom Brady and the Bucs. Like, that's a hard team to stop in general, but, like, clearly it was just a passing war, and it was just like they not gave up on defense, but it was just like neither team could really do much on defense as far as the passing game went, whereas Eagles, like, manhandled a team that is notorious for their passing game.
Yeah.
And we're all over them in rushing as well. Like, they tried to get off a lot of rushing with Mike Davis and Cordero Patterson. And, like, they had a lot of shares and carries, but they just weren't able to get far. And I was very surprised by the way Eagles were able to limit them to just field goals, right?
Yeah. I would say the Eagles' offense surprised me in a way of how well they did, because I knew that they were going to do well, and I know that they're better than the defense, and we have, like, a lot of potential, but I didn't know that they were going to do that well to put up 32 points, even though it was a struggling Atlanta Falcons team with, like, barely any defense. But I was expecting that kind of show out of Dallas, like that offense performance. Yeah. I was expecting that, and I was expecting their defense not to be good just from what I saw last year. And the thing that surprised me about the Eagles defense is the run game, because we looked this stat up. I mean, like, we aren't, like, the best the past couple of years on the run defense, but we're not, like, bottom of the league, No. But that, like, they were running all over us in the beginning of the half, but
yeah, you managed to stop it eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you did well. Once they hit the red zone, you managed to make them, like, stop and held them to a field goal. So that's where it really mattered. And okay, I guess if there was someone who surprised me on the Eagles, it would be Jalen Hurts. Not to say that I didn't think he would. Not to say I think he would do a bad job. Yeah. But he was very accurate. Yeah. He threw for 264 yards, 3 passing touchdowns. Maybe not 3 passing. Did he have a rushing touchdown?
No.
They're all passing. Yeah. 77.14%. that is like this. That is more than Patrick Mahomes, and is around the same as Russell Wilson did against the terrible Colts defense, or the terrible Colts defensive performance.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to say they're overall bad, but just that one performance.
I think
that was supposed to be his like worst, I don't know, stat category, right? Like that was the one thing that analysts looked at from last year and like, oh well, he can't be elite if he doesn't fix that.
And he did.
He did. So yeah, I mean, we kind of jumped ahead in our predictions, but
we
both predicted Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
So there was that.
And
then I predicted Philadelphia. Caleb did not.
Look, I'm willing to sacrifice one loss in this like category per week as long as the Eagles win, because like my little reverse psychology worked. I picked Atlanta, and then I said in the podcast last podcast, I'm going to pick Atlanta to do reverse psychology, and it worked. But I think the overall message is that Eagles exceeded expectations, because I think we knew kind of the gist of what was going to happen between the Eagles and the Falcons, and then Cowboys and the Buccaneers, but I think just exceeded what we had in mind.
Yeah. Yeah, Philadelphia's stock is definitely going up. We'll have to see what happens against the 49ers.
Okay, one quick thing though.
Okay.
During the preseason, we had in the NFC East, the Eagles had the lowest percentage to win the division at 12%, and the Cowboys had the best at 35%.
Really? Giants had more?
No, Cowboys, I mean. Cowboys.
No, but Giants had more than the Eagles?
Yeah, but it was Giants had like 15% to win the NFC East.
According to who?
I don't even know, but that makes sense because of how terrible we played within the preseason. Like this was after the preseason games, but after we had our first win, our stock flew up to 35% from 12%. Cowboys are still in the lead.
That's how volatile the fucking NFC East is. Like one win will just change everyone's minds about the entire state of the division. It's crazy.
But yeah, let's move on.
Yeah, moving on. So the Sunday morning games or Sunday early afternoon. Houston beat Jacksonville 37-20. No one really expected this. I mean, I was thinking Jacksonville would win, and most people did, but I was thinking that it would be close just because Urban Meyer is new to the NFL, and the mentality of college coaches is when they're entering the NFL is like when they're playing a bad team, they don't prepare for them as well, because in college, if you're playing a bad team, they are so much worse.
Yeah.
And so I guess he just wasn't prepared for how close in skill and effort like all the NFL like professional teams are. That's where some people were saying on Twitter. I think that has to be a part of it, maybe. But I also just think Jacksonville was unprepared in the fact that Trevor Lawrence didn't exactly have the best weapons. He has James Robinson that he can always resort to, but that offensive line is not very good. Let's see. I mean, everyone's talking about like, what is his name? Chanute?
Yeah.
As like being like Trevor Lawrence's top weapon. Like, at what point has anyone decided that this guy was worthy enough to be considered his top weapon? Like, top weapon in comparison of like there's no one else, but like that's not good. You know. Yeah. Trevor Lawrence needs better. I think that he will be a bust in fantasy. Sorry, Caleb. But
what, Chanute or Lawrence?
Chanute.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence might be able to pick it back up, but he's not going to be able to depend on Chanute. Like, he's not going to throw him that many targets.
I think it's a once in a time, and I don't know why I started Chanute. I should have started someone else, and I should have just gauged what Chanute could have done, because that was kind of a reach. But like I was expecting it. He's like the deep ball guy, and he's good at like catching deep balls. So I think it's like once in a blue moon where he's going to have like an amazing performance. But that's once in a blue moon. But Trevor Lawrence, he actually performed better than Josh Allen, or at least fantasy points rise. Because in our league, Trevor Lawrence got 19 points and Allen got 15. But
Josh Allen's playing the Steelers defense, and
that is true.
Trevor Lawrence is playing Houston, so like who really won? You know?
That is true, but without like Trevor Lawrence had 3 interceptions, and without those interceptions, he would have been in the 25 plus point range, at least in our fantasy group.
I think also Trevor Lawrence is going to have a hard time adapting because of the fact that he's playing NFL defenses without reliable pieces around him. So, like, I mean, as bad as the Texans are, they still have some guys on defense who are, you know, competent. Like, that one linebacker on the Texans is really good.
Mm-hmm.
So, Trevor Lawrence is still going to have to, like, play well regardless of who he's playing against. But he just has no one to depend on, I feel like. And that's where it really falls short. And then you look at the defense, and I guess there's, like, a couple of defensive backs on Jacksonville. They're pretty good. And that's why Texans ran the ball a lot. I don't know if Tyrod Taylor even had any touchdowns. I feel like it was all on the running backs to score. But, yeah, Tyrod Taylor had no interceptions. He threw for a lot, I think. Was somewhat accurate. So he actually had a really good Texans debut. But I just can't imagine they'll keep up in the future. Anyways, moving on. Chargers. Washington. Chargers won, just as we predicted. A lot of people thought it was going to be Washington, though. I think if this matchup were to be played last year, then yes. But it's a different year. Washington also lost their quarterback in the middle of the game, Fitzpatrick, and had to start using Heineke. And at any point in a game where that happens, like, you can never really depend on the backup to really carry you to win that game.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how good the backup is, it's just like they're usually not that prepared to take over a game like that, especially in the middle of it. Usually you have to give them a week to, like, for them to really sink in, like, oh, I'm the starter, for them to start really performing. So, especially against the Chargers defense that is not injured anymore, they're revitalized. And the offense, from what I hear, looked really good, even though they only scored 20, which isn't like an insane amount, but Washington defense is really good. So any time that you can have a lead against Washington is, like, you know, you should be proud of that.
Yeah, and surprisingly, I think how they lost was their defense, because I think Washington was leading for most of this game, but to end the game, I think the Chargers had a 15-play drive to end it all, to get up 20-16.
Yeah, I didn't know any of that. I haven't seen the highlights of this one.
So, I mean, even though the Washington's defense only let up 20 points and it was still a close game, only lost by 4, it was kind of surprising to see that the defense was lacking for Washington.
Yeah.
But let's move on.
Yeah, moving on to Colts, Seahawks. Colts hosting this game. First time fans back in their stadium to full capacity since before COVID. And Seahawks dominated. A lot of people don't want to use the word embarrassed, but Colts got embarrassed because, I mean, let's just look at the offseason. They made a risky trade for Wentz, or at least in, like, the public media's eyes, it was kind of risky. To replace their left tackle, they went for Eric Fisher instead of drafting someone who would be ready to play first game. Instead, they got Eric Fisher, who's still recovering from an injury. Will he be back next week? It is questionable. They extended Darius Leonard and their right tackle, Braden Smith. And who are the two people on this team that really seem to be lacking compared to how much money they're making? It's Braden Smith and Darius Leonard. Braden Smith didn't let up a sack at all last season. He didn't let up one sack. And yet he was responsible for the second most amount of quarterback pressures of anyone in the group.
That's crazy.
Second most to the left tackle, who was absolutely terrible the entire game, Davenport. I think he led to like 8 pressures on Wentz. Quentin Nelson had 0, of course. So he was the only one who was actually, like, playing the way he's supposed to, which we always expect. Darius Leonard, someone was saying, looked like he was playing not completely healthy, which is yikes. I don't even know what to say on that. Like, that is concerning. Yeah, he definitely wasn't looking like top linebacker in the league, except for the fact that he did punch the ball out and get a major turnover. It just didn't result in anything because the offense could not get anything going. Rushing seemed to be lackluster. Wentz was throwing a shit ton to the running backs, and didn't seem like he was wanting to make plays to the wide receivers who were farther out for the bigger plays that would have got us downfield. So Hines and Jonathan Taylor had major games as far as receiving, but they couldn't get much started on the running end of things. And then Pascal had 2 touchdowns. Those were the only 2 touchdowns we got. Pascal came through in the end zone. Yeah, Russell Wilson's also just played amazing, I should say. Like, at any point where we would get a pressure against him, he would easily just fall out and rush for a first down. Like, it was impossible to contain him. Even Chris Carson was getting us in the first half until we got the fumble against him, and then he started to lose confidence, I guess. Russell Wilson was torching us up, though, at any point in the game.
That's why I predicted such a high record for the Seahawks. I think I had them first in the NFC, but if Russell Wilson maintains this level of play throughout an entire season, not just a quarter, then they can be as dangerous as they were against the Colts. And I think...
Yeah, I don't even think it depends on Russell Wilson, because I feel like it always falls on Russell Wilson. And, like, I don't think that team needs him to play like an MVP for the entire season for them to have such a high record. If Chris Carson played the way he did up until he fumbled this game, and if the defense managed to put that much pressure on top-tier offensive lines, like Jamal Adams had an amazing game, I think if those 2 things happen, they could be an elite team. It's just we didn't get to see that last year. Chris Carson was very underwhelming last year, and the defense, aside from like Wagner and Adams, were not really doing well. Like, when you look at them playing top-tier offenses, it was just a back and forth scoring game. It wasn't like the defenses were able to do much, you know. So.
Yeah, that's why I feel so bad for Russell Wilson, because he's always had bad defenses after the Legion of Boom kind of dispersed. But I guess to kind of wrap up this game, Carson Wentz holds on to the ball for too long. I know, like, the offensive line on the Colts didn't play too well, but
they collapsed. It was a bad game from the offensive line.
Yeah, but Carson Wentz does need to learn about how to throw the ball a little bit faster, and I think that would help relieve some of the offensive line issues. But that's one of his biggest problems, at least throughout the Eagles, and that's why he struggled last year, I believe. But he just needs to get rid of the ball a little bit quicker, and I think not all of the problems, but at least some of the problems may disperse a little bit.
I think, and I don't think I can say this for sure because I haven't really, like, hyper fixated on this aspect of the Colts' game plan, but I think that could also be coaching, that their routes that the wide receivers run are somewhat intricate and not just so straightforward as, like, one's going to go that way, one's going to go that way, so you can easily get the ball out immediately. Like, they do, like, the crossing mesh routes, and so it's like he has to wait until that route is complete because it's a part of the mesh. Once the mesh is complete, then he can pass it, so he is waiting for a lot of those sequences a lot of the time. It's not like he can just immediately throw it out in any circumstance, and that's why I think it always was getting thrown to the running backs, because those routes weren't getting completed in time because the offensive line was already collapsing on him, so he just had to throw to whoever was available, which was always short distance throws. There were times where he could have done throws that were longer distance, but they were, like, tougher throws, and I guess he still hasn't gotten his confidence back, maybe, or he's just still getting his bearings because it was his first game, new team. Could have been a lot of things, but I think it was also just Frank Reich not giving him the right plays. I think he was asking a lot of the offensive line. Not asking a lot. He was expecting what the offensive line should do and expecting Wentz to capitalize off of it, and the game plan did not turn out that way, so they just collapsed the entire game. It was just like, once you go into a game expecting something to go a certain way and it doesn't, it's very hard to come back from that. Yeah. So
I think that's why you need to start off this season simple and then kind of have some of those more complex plays, because one, that allows teams not to know every play, and if you develop those complex plays later in the season, then teams will be surprised by that.
Frank Reich was being very predictable.
Yeah.
Someone looked back on his patterns of what type of plays he calls, and 40% above the expected rate does he call a rush on on second down?
Mhm.
Like, he has a problem of always calling a rushing on second down, and they the defenses knew it because they look back in film.
Mhm.
They realize these things, and so they couldn't get much. And then it always depends on a throw in the third down because they didn't get anywhere, and then it's just obvious.
Yeah.
Like, they're just gonna get exposed.
That's what Doug Peterson's problem was when he was coaching. He had too many predictable plays.
He just had like habits and patterns.
Mhm.
Yeah, same with Reich. I feel like sometimes.
That's why I was getting so mad on Sunday nights with the Eagles because they kept throwing that one play, like the screen outside and the receiver, like behind the line of scrimmage, like the wide receiver screen. Like, they were playing that a crap ton. That's why I was getting so pissed at them.
Right.
Because, like, they were becoming predictable with that, and you can't become predictable with a play, or team defenses would just blow it up.
All right. Moving on, because I don't want to talk about the Colts anymore. I think they will come back and just like realize their mistakes, same way they did after losing to Jacksonville last year. If I had to prefer losing to Seahawks or losing to Jacksonville first game of the year, I prefer Seahawks. Because, I mean, we were kind of bringing it back in the second half as well anyways. Like, we got the turnover we needed. We had a good drive down the field and got a touchdown. Just couldn't get a 2-point conversion off of it. I mean, I think things were starting to get better. It was just way too late, and Russell Wilson was torching our defense. So I think we'll figure things out same way as last year. And if we get Xavier Rhodes back, who was our best cornerback, by the way, we didn't have him against Lockett and Metcalf, and we contained Metcalf for the most part that game. So, like, we actually did a pretty good job. It's just like Lockett was torching us because we didn't have Rhodes. And then also Eric Fisher needs to get back because Davenport is just not the answer.
Yeah.
He's like not even in a short-term way is he an answer. Like, he's bad. So
Yeah.
Moving forward.
Panthers, Jets. I was going a little too much off of the Jets how they finished last season, but I mean, like, they didn't get destroyed in this game. It was 19-14.
What do you mean how they finished last season?
Because they won like 2 games and they looked pretty decent.
Yeah, but you know how much has changed since then as well.
Yeah. Like, throughout these predictions, I was leaning heavily towards how teams ended the season.
I think that's okay to do if they look the same as last season.
Yeah.
But you have a new quarterback, new coach, new organization, I would say. Just a new organization, the Jets, that is going to be getting their bearings. And, yeah, they can depend on certain players to carry the momentum from last year into the next one. But when it's your quarterback that is still getting his bearings, it's going to be very hard. He still played a good game, Zach Wilson. And Corey Davis really looks really good. I'm glad that I got him in fantasy. I think Corey Davis will be Zach Wilson's number 1 receiver. Will he be able to hold up against the better defensive backs in the league? I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah, okay. Kind of going back to the Jaguars game really quick. I just wanted to say stats because I like saying stats just for documentary's sake. But Tyler Taylor's stats in that game was 63.6 completion percentage, 291 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and 112 rating against the Jaguars. But moving back to this game real quick, Sam Darnold's stats were pretty decent against the Jets. He had 68.6 completion percentage, 279 yards, a touchdown, 0 interceptions, and 102 rating, which is a really good debut.
I mean, it's just like Sam Darnold didn't have much last year. I mean, when you think of like, did he have a running back? Not that I remember. Like, Le'Veon Bell left, and then his receivers were like injured throughout the year, so he didn't have a dependable target. This year he has DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and Christian McCaffrey. Basically, what I'm trying to say is he has no excuse. Maybe the offensive line. I don't know how the offensive line is with the Panthers. But as far as weapons go, he has no excuse. And it really showed that way because Christian McCaffrey had an amazing game. I don't know. I didn't look into like DJ Moore or Robbie Anderson's stats. But Sam Darnold, if like, you know, he played well, I'd imagine they got their fair share of targets. And he also got a rushing touchdown. I don't remember. Oh, the camera stopped.
I've been bad with the camera stopping. I've been bad with the camera stopping because I was bad with Alicia's and maintaining that. But
yeah,
What were you saying before?
Sam Darnold also got a rushing touchdown, so he was looking like an elite quarterback.
Robbie Anderson had 1 receptions for 57 yards and a touchdown.
Well, I mean, if it's a touchdown, then you did your job.
Yeah, and then Robbie Anderson had 6 receptions for 80 yards.
Yeah, that sounds like Robbie. Yeah, let's move on to. Oh, I predicted Carolina. You predicted Jets. I don't know if we said that, but
Yeah.
I did end up. I should just say this now. I did end up winning the predictions game 10-6. Caleb lost 8-8. So I won the disputes. We had 5 of them. I think I had 1. Wait, did we have 5 of them? We had only 4. I had 3 of them. Correct.
You went 3-1 with the disputes.
Yeah, so I didn't get Colts right. That was the only dispute that I didn't get right.
Mm-hmm.
But I got Carolina, Arizona, and Philadelphia right. Minnesota, Cincinnati. I don't really know what happened in this game. I just know that I went to overtime, and Cincinnati ended up winning it. Vikings defense is pretty decent, so it's good to see that Joe Burrow was, looking good against them. And Joe Mixon had led the league in carries in week 1. So they're really depending on their rushing game as well, and it worked out.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially against another team that is really good on offense, like that is very important. So, even Jamar Chase got a deep ball that ended up as a touchdown, and after a little bit of controversy of him potentially saying, I don't think this was actually said, but the fact that it's harder to catch NFL balls because they don't have the white lines on the tip of them, so he can't see the white lines to know where to catch them. I think that was taken out of context or something, but a lot of reporters were sharing that little quote from him, and then he went and performed really well this game, so he proved him wrong.
How could you take that out of context, though? He was just saying that it's harder to catch balls.
No, he was saying that he's... Okay, also from the fact that he had a dropping problem in the preseason, and he was like, "Oh, it's just harder to catch balls in the NFL." Like, people were saying, like, that's not good to hear from your number 1 draft pick.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, okay.
but he wasn't saying that. It was just like he wasn't making the correlation between dropping balls and that. It was just like, "Oh yeah, I'm dropping balls, but it's whatever." And they're like, "Is it harder to catch balls?" And I was like, "I don't know. I guess the white lines aren't there."
Yeah.
He wasn't really trying to make a correlation. He was just answering 2 different questions.
Yeah.
But reporters, that's how they took out context.
I guess that's if it's back-to-back questions like that. I guess that I can see how it's taken out of context.
Yeah, I thought Bengals might do well this season, at least compared to last year, if Joe Burrow remains healthy. But I did think Minnesota would get this game.
Me too.
Just because they seem like, I don't know, I just feel like that offense has been in the groove of things longer than Cincinnati. I don't know if that makes sense. It was just like a feeling, I guess. So yeah, we both predicted Minnesota and we're wrong.
Jamar Chase had 5 receptions, 101 yards, a touchdown, and Joe Burrow actually did really good this game. He had 261 yards, 2 touchdowns for 128.8 rating and 74.1 completion.
All right, moving on. Arizona, Tennessee. Arizona won against Tennessee. What is his name? Chandler Jones?
Yeah.
Against someone said something funny in the on NFL Network. I think it was like Tannehill now has a little part of Chandler Jones on him. That was how much he was on him in that game.
That's so funny.
He will always be a part of Ryan Tannehill. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, he had a lights out game. He had like 5 sacks, 6 total tackles, and
I think one of them was a strip sack too.
Yeah, and then he had 2 forced fumbles as well to add on to that.
There you go. I mean, the Titans tackle, I guess, who was responsible for that, he literally went on Twitter and I was like, yeah, that was my bad. Like, it was like a whole post, like, I'm going to be better, I promise. Like, damn.
Yeah.
To the point where someone has to make an apology note on social media, like, that is how a defender should be, you know?
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was a crazy performance by him, and that's probably going to go down in NFL history as one of the best performances by a singular player. But I was not expecting this much of a blowout. Like, I thought it'd be
a close, high-scoring game because I didn't really think either defenses would manage to contain the other. But Arizona contained Derrick Henry. Julio Jones, no one's even talked about him. No one's even talked about his Titans debut. That's worrisome.
That's just crazy to me. I mean, Yeah, I just don't understand how. I bet you're happy about this though.
Oh, of course. Listen, if I'd rather have the Titans lose to Arizona than the Colts beat Seahawks at this point in the season.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Just because I feel like at this point in the season, Colts are. This is like a very tough kind of early part of the season for the Colts where they're expected to lose, but Titans at this point in the season are expected to at least go even with teams, and if they get blown up by Arizona, then like that is really good for the Colts. Looking ahead to like who's going to win the division.
And the funny thing is, how does it feel having Houston being number one? Like I find that like the first in your division.
Same thing as last
Yeah.
season. Jacksonville was number 1 with 1 win, and then they ended up with 1 win for the entire season.
Yeah.
That's how I expect it to be with Houston. Maybe they get another, just because they will have to play Jacksonville again, and maybe Jacksonville just won't be able to, I don't know, get their shit together in time. But we'll see. I don't know who else is on the radar for Houston to potentially make an upset, but. Yeah, I just don't see it. Tyrod Taylor is not a guy who's going to lead the team to a lot of wins. So.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I've been talking about Trevor Lawrence so much, but that was his first loss as well. Like in his entire career, like high school.
Oh, I was like, yeah, it's his first loss. It's
Yeah.
his first game. But
Yeah.
if it's in his entire career,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, like he never lost in high school and or in college, so that's funny to
Hmm.
see that he lost. But okay, moving on to San Francisco and Detroit. This was pretty much a blowout until the end where Detroit was making a comeback.
Detroit was making a comeback. Jared Goff was looking kind of good towards the end. And their running duo and Jamal Williams and whoever the other guy is, like they were like leading the league. Like 2 running backs were leading the league in like fantasy points basically.
Mm-hmm.
Or like I don't know, maybe it was rushing yards. I'm not sure exactly what stat it was, but like they were in the top 4.
Mm-hmm.
2 running backs for the same team were in the top 4. So I thought that was cool.
I'm so mad because I didn't put. Wait, no, never mind. I'm thinking about a different player. Sorry.
Jimmy Garoppolo looked fine. It is the Detroit defense, so it's not saying much, but he looked fine and didn't seem like very, I don't know, discouraged by the fact that they were sending in Trey Lance to throw touchdowns. Trey Lance was put in the red zone at one point, and he did throw a touchdown on his first NFL attempt. Thought that was crazy. Yeah, we'll see how that, carries through the season, whether or not that quarterback situation will get, I don't know, will stop seeming like a team quarterback situation and just like a starting quarterback.
I'm so fucking pissed because Deebo Samuel had a game. He had 29 points in our fantasy, and I have him in fantasy, and I did not put him in. I mean, like if I did put him in, I still would have lost fantasy, but still it would have been a lot closer game, and not such a blowout from like the fantasy game. But his stats were 9 receptions, 189 yards for a touchdown. But he did have a fumble though. But most of those yards did come from off of 1 reception because he did have an 79-yard touchdown. So it's just crazy.
That's 79-yard touchdown. He isn't even half of the total yards though. So I mean, he had a lot of big plays.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say most of those yards came off of that one play because literally most of them didn't. That's still like 110 yards to account for.
Yeah.
Next, Pittsburgh. I don't want to say destroyed Buffalo, but they did what they needed to do, basically, which was just stop that offense. And then, Pittsburgh offense is capable enough of taking, getting points against the Bills defense, It was just a matter of how can you stop Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, and they did. So I don't have much else to say there. It was just like Buffalo did not look very dominant.
Yeah, I wanted Josh Allen to get a little bit more points, but it was I was shocked that I saw Pittsburgh to win because Buffalo did start off a little bit hot because I think they started off like 10-0. So Steelers made a little bit of comeback, and I was not expecting this performance from Pittsburgh. I think a really good team like the Bills because I think everyone's expecting that Buffalo is going to be right up there with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
Could be the Browns though.
That is true.
We got Eagles, Atlanta. We already talked about that.
Yeah.
If you want to say more, you can. But
I'm just so hyped. Like, I don't know. That's all I'm going to say. But and then okay, this is where I'm going to plug. I guess this to finish up the Eagles Atlanta thing. I think the Super Bowl year, I was doing a preview video and a recap video of each game. So like before each Eagles game, I'll do a preview of that game and then a recap of that game. So I think I'm going to start that up again. So be a lookout for those videos.
There you go. Cleveland had an amazing start against Chiefs in the Chiefs Stadium, but at the end, I actually watched this back. The crowd noise got to Cleveland, which led to a fumbled punt attempt that, basically Chiefs got the ball at like the 30 or something, quickly converted that into a score. And then Baker Mayfield just couldn't do anything in the fourth quarter. They were looking hot to start the game. I think they went into the half 22-10.
Mm-hmm.
So to keep Chiefs at 10 points and a half is very good.
Kelsey played really good, but it was a really good comeback by them. This game was everything that I expected out of this game. A close, nail-biting game. I didn't expect the Browns to have such a fast start. And that just shows that the Browns are here to play. And Chiefs are just going to go 17-0. What can I say?
I don't think they'll go 17-0. I think at one point, if team like Browns can get that jump on the Chiefs, I think at some point Chiefs just won't be able to make a comeback.
Mm-hmm.
But it just depends on if they face a team that is able to get that jump early enough. They play Ravens next week, so it's possible. But Ravens didn't look too strong in their debut. So
I just want someone to go undefeated in the first 17-game season. But I think the Chiefs are going to go 16-1. The one loss is coming from the Eagles. So
okay. No.
Yes.
But New Orleans, Green Bay.
I don't even
know. Jameis Winston's better than Aaron Rodgers, I guess.
like.
That's what it looked like. That is literally what it looked like.
Is Aaron Rodgers like still wanting out or whatever? Like I don't understand how he had such a bad performance. Like it looked like he wasn't even trying.
I don't know.
Jameis Winston had 5 fucking touchdowns, but he didn't eclipse 150 yards. He had 148 yards passing.
They didn't need to because Green Bay just couldn't get anywhere on the field, so their field position to start each offensive drive was amazing.
Yeah, and then he had a 130.8 rating. Jameis Winston. This kind of makes me want to pick him up in fantasy, maybe. But
it's week 1.
yeah, but that was
make those decisions week 2. I feel like.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that was the most surprising game out of this week because I just didn't think Green Bay was going to implode. But to make a little connection, last year
this happened last year.
Yeah, Green Bay Packers got destroyed by the Buccaneers, and the Green Bay Packers still made it to the NFC Championship.
And lost to the Buccaneers.
Yeah, that is true. But it was the same score. Like the Buccaneers destroyed Green Bay 38-3, but it's kind of funny to see that it's 38-3 again in a blowout. But Denver Giants, thank God that Denver won because that made the Eagles first in the NFC East.
Yeah.
Trey was happy. I was watching the game a little bit with him, and he was stoked.
Giants just don't look good. Daniel Jones is just not the answer. They have so many good players on the Giants. No one really appreciates the Giants enough because Daniel Jones weighs them down that much, I feel like.
They're one quarterback away from being really good. Like
they have an amazing defensive back core. Wide receiver core is really good now that Kenny Galladay's there. Saquon Barkley. Enough said.
The Daniel Jones is the problem with him is that he turns over the ball way too much and he doesn't know how to play football. So, two big issues.
Wow. Okay. And then Teddy Bridgewater looked decent. I think he can. I think he could potentially take Denver to a winning record season. But barely.
Teddy?
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 Teddy? If Jerry Jeudy gets back in time, yeah. I think
that was a disgusting injury. I'm sorry.
I didn't see it.
His leg bent.
Yikes. Well, Miami, New England. Miami
this was too
edged out New England, but
too close for comfort.
I feel like both teams still have a lot to sort out, so it kind of seems right. And they're division rivals, so of course it's going to be a close game there.
Too close to comfort. Too close to comfort Dolphins. I've been rooting for you. Didn't you have?
I
Wait,
mean, New England's good, though.
no. I just don't want the Patriots to be good again.
No, but they are.
Yeah.
Like, you can't. It's not that you don't want to. They just are.
Yeah.
Mac Jones maybe won't have it sorted out, but their defense is good.
Yeah.
And they have all the weapons in the world right now at their disposal.
Wait, here
and a pretty good offensive line from what I know.
Wait, who's on the offense for Patriots?
Okay, well, you have Hunter Henry and Johnny Smith
Oh, yeah,
as the tight
okay.
ends. That alone is crazy. They have pretty good receivers. One
Nelson
Nelson
Aguilar.
Aguilar, but I forget who the others are. I just know there's another one who's worth mentioning, but I just forget. And then their running backs are decent.
I forgot that they did those off-season trades, but yeah.
Not even trades, just straight up acquisitions.
Mm-hmm.
Spent a lot of money in free agency. Next,
Matty Stafford.
Matty Stafford looked basically perfect in his debut with the Rams. Like, you can't really criticize anything he did. A couple of incompletions, I guess. Like, but that's just gonna happen.
Matthew Stafford, you're so bad. How can you have incompletions in a game?
I know.
I thought better of
And
you.
it's the Bears. Like, Bears are supposed to be a pretty good defense, and yeah, it was a 34-14 game. So, Andy Dalton, let's just say he's not the answer.
But you do have a answer on your team, Bills.
Who?
Or Bears. Justin Fields.
Oh.
Like, why not use him? You got
you
got
think,
your answer.
You think he'll be ready just in time to take the field?
He has to be
Just
better.
in time to take the
I
field?
hate you. All right. Moving on. Wait. Okay, I just want to say Matthew Stafford was perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, I'll get to that later, though.
Okay. All right.
Vegas, Baltimore, 33-27. Crazy game. Honestly, I don't even want to talk about it that much. Just go watch the highlights. Insane overtime win for for Vegas in their first home game with stadium with fans, basically.
I'm so
The
mad.
new stadium.
I'm so mad that I didn't get the reactions on that game because that would have
Yeah.
blown up. That would have like 35,000 views at least.
Lamar Jackson looked okay. I feel like their running game just needs a bit more time to develop to really be elite. But they were like tearing up Vegas on running. It was just like their offensive line was collapsing in the passing game, which you wouldn't expect from the Ravens offensive line. But yeah, I think Vegas defense really proved themselves this game.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny that because the Raiders had that first touchdown that everyone thought was a touchdown with the tight end.
In overtime, yeah.
Yeah, and then everyone was like gathering and stuff and like
Oh yeah, they were shaking hands.
yeah, and then they were about to
Good
do
game.
like jersey swaps and stuff, which I thought, I guess they changed that rule, but last year they couldn't do.
Oh,
jersey
that was just
swaps.
a COVID thing last year.
Yeah.
This year it's fine, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, crazy ending. Okay, I just wanted to say Matthew Stafford stats because
No,
yeah,
look at the thing in there called MVP race. These are my rankings of the MVP race. Who's most likely to get the MVP at the end of the season? I'll update this every week. But number 1, we have Patrick Mahomes, just because he did nothing bad this entire game. No interceptions, no fumbles. His completion rate was 75%. He threw for 4 touchdowns and 337 passing yards.
Whoa, when did you do this? This is.
What do you mean? I
weird.
had all week.
That is true. Well, technically, you only had
Okay,
a
shut
few
the fuck up.
days.
Kyler Murray, number 2, because he was torching up the Titans. Not the best accuracy, but 5 touchdowns, that says enough. Russell Wilson, I put him at number 3 because he basically had a perfect game. I put Matthew Stafford at 5. I put Jalen Hurts at 4, though, just above Matthew Stafford, and here's why. Because he's also the leading quarterback rusher right now.
Wow, by a lot. Well, I
Yeah.
guess this isn't every fucking quarterback,
Yeah, this is
but
every quarterback, but like he has that edge over Matthew Stafford, where Matthew Stafford is very much like a pocket passer. Matthew Stafford will always lead in passing yards, but even Jalen Hurts beat him out in completion percent. There you go. Jameis Winston is at number 6. I don't even want to talk about that. It's just like a scoring machine this last game. But it's just disgusting to even look at the fact that he's number 6 right now. Number 7, Tom Brady. He would be higher if it weren't for those interceptions. Like, I know they weren't his fault, but it's just like something I can't look over, you know. But also 64% completion rate.
Interceptions are still interceptions.
Yeah. Dak Prescott, I put him at 8. He could be higher, but it's just because he has that one loss and the one interception. He had an amazing game. 72% completion rate with 403 passing yards. Teddy Bridgewater's at number 9. 77? Nearly 78 if you round up percent completion. He has better than anyone else on this list.
That is true.
But only on 264 yards, so low end of the yards and touchdowns, only 2 touchdowns. You know, if he can get the ball to his players enough, and, you know,
yeah,
who knows what could happen, man.
I'm still in awe by this. I don't know why, but this is like such an amazing chart.
Shut the fuck up. And then I have Derek Carr at number 10. He was so inaccurate, but he led his team to a comeback win against the Ravens with 435 passing yards. Yes, he had 1 interception and only 2 touchdowns, but, you know, I tried to look at other quarterbacks. I was looking at, maybe Tyrod Taylor is here. Maybe I'll put Lamar Jackson here. But no, Derek Carr, you know, he got the comeback win. That's what matters.
Yeah. I love how Patrick Mahomes, your question mark for cons.
Oh, yeah. I have pros and cons lists for all the quarterbacks. And there are just none for Patrick Mahomes at this point in the season.
He's the perfect quarterback.
I put comeback king, accurate. He's got the touchdowns. He's got the yards. He's got everything you want. Anyways, moving on to next week. You already filled out your predictions. Wow. Yeah. You could have saved that to later, but okay.
Well, I did that at the beginning of this podcast.
Yes. I could tell because you weren't talking during our podcast.
Well, I thought...
Worst podcast host ever.
I'm sorry. But at the beginning of the week, you said you wanted to talk more. So I was just giving you the option to talk more.
I said I wanted to talk more?
Yeah, because you wanted to be on the Kids with Divorced Parents podcast. Because you wanted to
talk. I didn't mean like that. Like, I just wanted to be in more things, but I didn't want to, take up more time. Like...
Okay, wait. What time do you have to leave for the class?
Oh, I have time.
Okay, because this is like already such a long podcast, and we still have to fucking do predictions and go over fucking fantasy.
Yeah, it's fine. They're already filled out. So I mean, we'll just have to skip over fantasy. You can talk about that in a separate video if you want, but I cannot stay for that. We'll just do predictions and I'll leave.
I was just going to say that you leave after predictions, and I'll wrap up the podcast with fantasy.
All right, predictions for week 2. Thursday night, Washington is hosting the Giants, both needing a win after a disappointing week 1. Who do you got?
I got the Washington football team because they're like, even though they lost against the Chargers, they still look good in that game. Giants look bad. All around Washington football team is a better team. Heineke, with a little bit more preparation, I think he can lead Washington football team to a dub.
Me too.
I think we're going.
I don't trust the Giants. Like, even though it's Heineke, like, I just don't trust the Giants, man. Yeah. Next game, Sunday, early afternoon. We got Jets and New England also needing a win. They're both down 0-1, and it's a divisional game. New England back-to-back divisional games, actually. So this is a very important game for New England after not being able to win one of them, because if they want any chance to make the playoffs, this is very integral. So, who do you got?
I got the Patriots because I was a little bit too overjoyed with the Jets last week, so... Patriots are a lot better team, and I've come to my realization that the Jets are going to suck this year again. And I also realized that we're going to have a lot of similar picks this week.
We'll see about that. I also chose New England just because I don't think the Jets will suck this season, but I just think Saleh is going to take some time to figure out the direction of this team, and it's just very hard to get a win against Belichick, who's just tried and proven. So just give Jets time is what I'll say. New England, they'll get a win, not by a lot though, I think. Next,
we got the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Denver Broncos, but the Jaguars look absolutely awful against Houston, and if they look awful against Houston, then they're going to look awful against every other team in the entire league.
Broncos defense is, I mean, now that the one guy's back, what's his name? I forget. Von Miller. Yes.
Jinx.
Yeah. I also have Denver just because.
Yeah.
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 Teddy Bridgewater, if he's looking that good right now, then
Yeah. Like
Jaguars won't be able to do much.
if they were able to manhandle the Giants a little bit, then they're definitely going to be able to manhandle the Jaguars.
Yeah.
Miami, Buffalo, this was a tough decision. Even though Buffalo lost to Pittsburgh, I'm not losing hope on them yet. I have Buffalo winning against Miami Dolphins. I still have hope.
Me too. I think
Bills.
Buffalo will. This is just a very important game for them because isn't this also divisional? Miami, Buffalo.
No. Wait. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
is.
it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, very important game. And if they go down 0-2, that is just. I don't want to think about the implications of that. Like, wow. So we're just gonna say Buffalo wins.
Yeah.
Philadelphia, San Francisco. This is personal for San Francisco because last year this was a game they should have won and yet they didn't, and so I have San Francisco personally just because I think they'll get that.
I also
that
have
vengeance.
I also have San Francisco, and I'm testing my theory out until I'm proven wrong. Then I'm going to start actually predicting what I feel.
No loyalty.
But I have the 49ers just because of the hope that reverse psychology will make the Eagles win. And I honestly think that the Eagles can win this game, but it's going to be a very tough match. And I don't know enough about the Eagles yet to see if they can actually close out a tough opponent and a close game like this.
Yeah, this is their first really tough opponent, and I just don't know if they have it in them to really do it. But it'll be a learning experience regardless.
Yes.
Next, it's the Colts versus the Rams. You say the Rams.
Yes.
What are you, stupid? Who do the Rams even have? I got the Colts. Best linebacker in the game. Best left guard in the game. Are you kidding me? Let's go!
I picked the Rams solely because of Matty Stafford, and if Russell Wilson was able to do what he did against that Colts defense, then what's to say that Matty Stafford won't do the same?
Okay, Stafford might have a good season, but let's not compare him to Russell Wilson last week. Russell Wilson was a different breed. Matthew Stafford wouldn't be able to make those throws to Lockett the way Wilson did. Are you kidding me?
I'm just saying.
And he doesn't have the same receivers either. Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp are not DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett.
Well, what did Metcalf do last week? What did he do?
Get a touchdown.
Oh, but yeah, I'm not saying that Matthew Stafford and Wilson are the same. I'm just saying that Matthew Stafford is really good. Not to Wilson's caliber now, but
DeForest Buckner versus Aaron Donald. What a match. I mean, not directly, but two best defensive tackles in the game. In my opinion, those are the two best. Next, we have Pittsburgh, Las Vegas, both coming off a big win. Big win where they were expected not to.
Big win.
It just depends on who can keep it up. And I think it's Pittsburgh.
I also think it's Pittsburgh as well because I don't know. I can see Raiders winning, and this is one of the closest decisions that I had to make. I was flipping back and forth, equivalent to the Buffalo-Miami game. But I think Pittsburgh has more intangibles than the Raiders, and the Raiders got a little bit, not lucky, but a little luck went their side against the Ravens.
Interesting.
So I'm just going to say that. But we got the Bears versus Cincinnati. I got Cincinnati because they look
Cincinnati. Yeah, Bears just didn't look good. Cincinnati did look good. I feel like if this was last week, us looking at this, I've been 50-50. But their games definitely swayed me one way, and that is towards Cincinnati.
I agree. And then we got Cleveland, Houston. I got Cleveland.
Cleveland.
Yeah.
We don't have to talk about this. There is no world where Houston goes 2-0 and their latest win comes against the Browns, especially not after how the Browns played against Chiefs. So
yeah,
let's just end it there. Carolina, New Orleans.
I got the Saints. They just looked way too good.
Yeah,
Don't tell me you got the Panthers.
I got the Panthers.
Oh my God.
I just don't think the Saints will be able to keep it up. They just lost a vital cornerback. Apparently they're having a COVID issue internally in their organization right now, so I don't know how that will shape out. But even if even if it goes fine, I still think Carolina looked good enough to show up against New Orleans and be like, hey, we're still in this division. It's not just you versus the Buccaneers.
You're insane.
I don't think so. I
You're
think
insane.
Carolina can
You're
actually
insane.
be a threat this year now that they have Sam Darnold and Christian McCaffrey is back off of an injury. Like, it's Christian McCaffrey. Never count him out.
Wait, is Lattimore the one who's out? Who got injured? Please don't tell me Lattimore.
I think
is
maybe.
out. Please don't. I love him so much.
I won't tell you because
No,
I do not
it's
know.
Lattimore. He could miss some time. My God.
No, he will.
He just signed a $100 million deal and he already got injured. Like, what the fuck is that?
Why do you care about this
I don't
guy?
even know.
Okay.
I was reading over exactly.
No,
what
I'm
you-
joking.
So we got
it's always sad when injuries happen like that.
yeah.
Especially early in the season. God.
We got Cards versus Vikes.
I got Cards.
Yeah. Cardinals just looked way too good. And Minnesota just lost to the Bengals, so like,
LMAO.
what losers?
All right, next I have Atlanta against Tampa Bay.
If you say Atlanta, I'm going to that.
No, I have Atlanta.
Uh-huh.
I'm joking. I have Tampa Bay. Atlanta won't stand a
Yeah.
chance.
Like-
It's not the same thing. Carolina, New Orleans. You know.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It's Tampa Bay, Super Bowl champions.
And
Atlanta just looked way too bad against Philadelphia, but
Yeah, if the Eagles were able to destroy Atlanta like that, then ain't no way that the Bucks can't do the same.
yep. Next it's Seattle, Tennessee.
Hey, you're gonna like my pick. I picked the Seattle.
You did. Why'd you pick Seattle?
Because Seattle looked too good, and I think Russell Wilson is getting his flow together. And, you know, I think,
Tennessee looked bad, right?
yeah, they looked bad, but I think,
they're not worth shit.
Huh?
They're not worth shit.
yeah. And I'm like, you know,
They're the worst team in the league.
maybe not the worst team
Ah,
in the
come
league.
on. We were agreeing on everything.
But I didn't, like, you're a Colts fan, so that's swayed my opinion a little bit. But I think the Seattle Seahawks pieces are forming with their defense, with their offense. You're just like
Hey, new
unstoppable.
offensive coordinator. That
Yeah.
may be that could have been the answer. Who knows?
Yeah, and this is hey, this is your time to go 1-1 ahead of everyone else. Titans are 0-2. Everyone else is 0-2. You're 1-1.
Until Houston also gets their win and they're 2-0 over us. So. Nah, there's no
Yeah.
world where that happened.
Come on, this is your
the
chance.
universe would implode.
Yes,
It would collapse in on itself if Houston won that game.
yes.
You're not gonna like my pick though. I didn't use the same philosophy you had, where you're swayed one way because of divisional rivalries. I have Dallas over the Chargers.
You fucker.
I'm sorry.
I refuse.
Dallas just needs their one win. They look so good against Tampa Bay. They deserve the one. Come on, it's just the
No.
Chargers.
No, it's the Cowboys. They deserve every loss that comes to them. I don't care. Like, I absolutely hate them. That's like you saying that the Titans deserve a win.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it
because
is.
the Titans didn't look that good against Cardinals, but Dallas did look that good against Tampa Bay.
Yeah, but if the Titans did look good against whoever the fuck they played.
Then yeah, maybe I would give it to them. Maybe I would.
I don't see a world where you want the Titans to win.
I'm not saying I want them, but if I was being realistic, I would say yeah, I guess they can win this game. But if they lose that bad to Cardinals, I have no faith that they'll win against Seahawks.
Look, the Cowboys deserve a lot. I just don't want them to give.
No, I understand that you want them to lose the same way I want Tennessee to lose. But if I'm looking at this realistically, they stand a chance against the Chargers.
Look, realistically, they're going to destroy the Chargers. But do I want to say that? They're like the Chargers.
I don't think they'll destroy the Chargers. I think Chargers are still good. I just think Dallas will get the big time win in the afternoon, right before the bigger time game of Baltimore, Kansas City.
I say that you have the Ravens. Do you have the Ravens? I got the Chiefs.
I say, fuck no, I have the Chiefs, man. What the hell? You think I have the Ravens after how they looked against the Raiders? If they can't do a prime time, overtime win against the fucking Raiders, you think they stand a chance in Sunday Night Football against the Chiefs? Come on. Who do you think I am?
Titus Lincoln Oldham.
Oh my god. Yeah, I have the Chiefs.
Yeah, I was going to say something, but we can just move on. Detroit, Green Bay, both looked awful, but I chose the Packers.
Yeah, I mean, Packers are gonna. It's Detroit. Come on, like this is what you. This is almost perfect timing for Aaron Rodgers. You know, he just had the worst game of his career. What does he need? He needs a team where he can absolutely destroy them. Like, he doesn't even need to absolutely destroy them. He could just go in and kick the ball around. Doesn't even have to throw it, and they'd still manage to win. But if he needs to get his confidence back, then this is the team he can do it against. You know, he's used to playing the Detroit Lions for all of these years in the NFC North, I believe. Yeah, NFC North. This is how he gets back into MVP form and makes it back into the MVP race folder of this spreadsheet right here. Mm-hmm. He could make it maybe around 7 and 8.
I think that would be like a huge honor for him because this spreadsheet's pretty
good.
Look, you thought that I was joking earlier, but I actually love this. Like, this is
wow, thank you.
Like, I wasn't joking. I'm not joking now, but like, this is like such a good chart.
Thanks, man.
It's amazing for the podcast.
We're just gonna keep updating it as we go on, and just that way we can look and like, oh yeah, this guy is leading in passing yards.
Yeah,
we always know. That way we're never uninformed or anything. I have to go.
Yeah.
Fuck this podcast.
I was just going to say this could get you promoted. Just saying.
I could finally get my fair share of the disgruntled fortune.
Yeah, you're just an intern right now, but this could promote you from intern. All right.
When you talk about fantasy, make sure to mention how I'm projected to be number 1 despite coming off of a loss, and also the trade I had with Brendan. Okay. Which is not. I don't know if you saw it, but it's not the one I talked to you about. It's a different trade.
Okay, I did see a trade go down, but I will talk about that. All right, so this is where I take over, and thank God that Titus finally left. So this is the part of the podcast where I talk about fantasy by myself because Titus doesn't like me anymore. But no, he just had to go to class, and he had to be there at 12, and it is currently 11:48, so we held him for long enough. But first matchup, I lost. This is not how I wanted to win. This is not how I wanted it to go. I started off last season pretty strong. I was 3-0 starting last season, and then then after that I lost a bunch, but I still got into the championship. So I'm going to go over my matchup first. Sophia won 128.58 to 104.9 against me. But thankfully, she's not in my division, so it doesn't really matter. I don't even know if that matters, like division losses or whatever. But I'm currently third in the division. I'm currently third in the Johnson division. So I'm just going to list the points of each player. And our points varied. I don't know if Titus talked about the points, how he changed it up a little bit. I think we did talk about the points, but I wanted to have him talk more specifics because he was doing a lot to switch up in that. Or he did switch up a lot of crazy statistics to make the kickers less heavy. They shouldn't be as prominent, and to bring down the stock of quarterbacks a little bit as well. But I'm going to tell him to go over it next podcast more. So just remind me, and we'll go over it next podcast. But so I had Josh Allen, Miles Sanders, James Robinson, Devontae Adams, Devontae Smith, Travis Kelce, Chanute, Dolphins defense, Q. Josh Allen, he had 15.5 points. Sanders had 15.3 points. James Robinson had 16.9. Devontae Adams had 8.1. Smith had 16.1. Travis Kelce had 22.6. Chanute had 9.4. Dolphins defense had 6 points. Q had 5 points. I am mad because my bench had more points than my actual starters. Like, I had 104 total points, and my bench had 108 total points, and that's not what you want. That makes me happy that my bench is very strong, but that just means that I literally could replace anyone out, and they would have done better, except for Mozart and Tanyan. But my bench, Steelers had 12 points. Lawrence had 19 points despite 3 interceptions. Landry had 16.9 points. Johnson had 10.3 points. Samuel had 29.09 points, almost 30 points total. Tanyan had 1.8 points. Mozart had 2 points. Williams had 16.9. So literally I could have replaced any of my players and they would have done a crap ton better. It's just disappointing to see. I'm kicking myself in the foot. about not switching, or like I just forgot that fantasy was happening, and I forgot to take the last look, because I usually, when I do take that last look, I usually do change around a lot. But Sophia's side, she put in the right players that she needed, and her players did really, really good. Lamar Jackson had 16.48 points. Davion Cook had 17.4 points. Nick Chubb had 21.1 points. Stephon Diggs had 11.4 points. McLaurin had 8.2 points. Hawkinson had 21.7 points. Montgomery had 19.3 points. Niners defense had 7 points. Butker had 6 points. So literally all of her players did better than mine, except for the tight end position. But Hackerson, comparatively to Kelsey, that should have been easy. But literally in every single position, I guess, except for McLaurin as well. The one thing that I do have to say is Stephon Diggs. I feel really, really bad, because Stephon Diggs usually has a lot of points, and I did not take advantage of that, because that Diggs was one of her best players on that team, and he only got 11 points. I mean, Devontae Adams, he played very poorly as well, but that was because Aaron Rodgers was playing like shit, but he still had 8.1 points. And again, this is in our fantasy league, and we did change up the point system a crap ton, so it's not the regular fantasy points that everyone does, like FanDuel and other fantasy DraftKings does. It's not the typical system of or point system. So you just have to take it or leave it. But I'm going to have Titus explaining the point system more next week, so stay tuned. Sophia's bench had a total of 54 points. Washington defense had 3 points. Sanders had 3.5 points. Chase Edmonds had 12.6 points. Aaron Rodgers had 0.72 points. Not even a point. Kenny Galladay had 8.4 points. Smith had 7.3 points. Anderson had 12.8 points. Mike Gallup had 5.6. So she put in the players that had really good games, and she put them in, and they just won. That's mine, and I'm still mad that I didn't go 1-0, and Sophia has been rubbing in my face this entire time that she beat me, rightfully so. But hopefully, all I'm looking for is just to make it into the playoffs and have a deep playoff run and make it into the championship. I really just want to make it into the championship, because it's just Titus, me, and somewhat Trey have the most knowledge. And like, if I don't get into the championship, like, everyone else in this league does not know anything about football. Literally no one knows anything. Licio was just picking players because of how attractive they were. Josh had no idea. You saw it in the last week's vlog or 2 weeks ago when we drafted. Like, no one knows anything, and I would be really embarrassed if I didn't make it into the championship, or at least have a big playoff run. But this just goes to show that fantasy is completely luck, at least for the first few weeks. It's just guessing and stuff, and because you don't know how players are going to perform. Like Devontae Adams, I thought he was going to play a lot better, but he only had 8.1 points. But in the second half of the season is what matters, because you actually know how players are going to play and actually how they perform, and that's where strategy starts playing in. Bell Teller Edgelord and the Diabetic Nation play. Diabetic Nation beat Bell Teller Edgelord, so Trey beat Claudia 118.91. Claudia had 102.2. So it was a little dominating performance. So on Claudia's side, she had Ryan Tannehill. He got 11 points. Alvin Kamara had 16.6 points. Aaron Jones had 3.2 points. Allen Robinson had 6.5 points. CeeDee Lamb had 20.9 points. Darren Waller had 22.5 points. Antonio Gibson had 10 points. Vikings had 4 points, and Matt Gay had 7 points. So her starting, like Kamara and Tannehill, those are her, and Aaron Jones for the matter of fact, she would have won. And even Allen Robinson, they're really good players, but they all kind of underperformed. And even though Kamara had 16 points, that's still underperforming a lot. Even after that dominating performance the Saints had on the Green Bay Packers. But her bench actually had 119 points, and if she would have put in one player from the bench, then she would have won. But I think that's just lack of knowledge too, and just forgetting like I did. But that's even more on the bench. And if she just would have put one player in, she would have won. But her bench is DeAndre Swift, 20 points. Thielen, 25 points. Lockett, 25.69 points. Thielen had 25.7 points, and Swift had 20.4 points. T. Higgins had 13.8 points. Goddard had 12.2 points. Burrow had 17.3 points. Austin Hooper had 4.2 points. Mitchell had 0.2 points. So her bench did really, really good. And if she would have just swapped a couple players, she would have won. She would have dominated. But on Trey's side, he had Patrick Mahomes, 34.3 points. I mean, what are you going to expect? Like, that's what you expect out of Mahomes. He had an awesome game. He had 337 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 18 yards rushing, and a rushing touchdown. So he just went fucking off. He had Christian McCaffrey. He had 23.2 points. Like, if McCaffrey's not getting 20-plus points per game, then there's something wrong. Like, he's going to get you 20 points per game, no matter what league you're in. Then he had Javonte Williams on Denver. I don't know why he started Williams when fucking he has Gordon on that team as well. Like, why didn't he pick up Gordon? But Williams had 4.6 points. Jerry Jeudy had 10.2 points, but he left early. Keenan Allen had 15.5 points. Kyle Pitts had 5.1 points. Chris Godwin had 20 points. Ravens defense only had a point, and McManus had 5 points. His bench had a total of 91 points as well, which is super high. But Justin Herbert got 13.4 points. Waddle got 14.1 points. Broncos defense got 8 points. Cole Beasley had 10 points. Fournette had 8.4 points. Rob Gronkowski had 25 points. Drake had 9.5 points. And A.J. Dillon on the Green Bay Packers had 3.1 points. I don't know why he has Dillon. His running back squad is very, very bad. I don't know why he has. Oh, except for Christian McCaffrey, but still. I would have put Fournette. I would have put Drake any day over Williams. It's sad sight to see. I didn't know that Drake was on the Raiders. Moving on, so yeah, Trey's 1-0, Claudia's 0-1. Then we got Compton Crib Chip first, the Mad Basket Dog. Compton Crib Chip won. They beat Titus, Lincoln Oldham. This was surprising, but this was the closest game by far. It was 116.36 to 112.28. And this was a very, 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 very close game. Compton Crib Trip's side, and this is where we're kind of looking at the scares. Yes.
I'm a bad person.
Why? You did not actually have class?
No, I do, but I'm just not going because my teacher doesn't take attendance. One time, he was like, "Oh, you're new here," not to me, but to someone else.
Yeah.
And was like, yeah, he decided, "Oh, you're new here. What's your name?" And I was like, "I've been here the entire time."
Really? That's so fucking funny. Wait.
And I knew he didn't take attendance beforehand, but I just thought, oh, maybe just keeps track of like who's in the room and just like remembers like, oh, I'll give participation points accordingly. Yeah. But no, like he just doesn't even remember who's in his room at all. So, if I'm this late already, like, what's the point?
Wait, is it an in-person class?
Yeah, it's 3 times a week as well. So it's like, me missing one is like,
yeah.
Whatever.
And if you're not getting graded too, but thank God that you came in because I was getting winded.
But please come to Temple University, best education in the world.
Yes, even though that was a little sarcasm, it is actually a really good school. And come to Temple so that you can see us in person.
It's a good school as long as you're not really caring about your gen ed requirements, because if this was in a film class of mine that I was doing this, that would be bad. But
yeah,
it's just a gen ed requirement, so who gives a fuck?
But yeah, come to Temple, visit us. Our address is
take technology transformations with Chopra. A 30% in his class is a failing grade, as it is in every class, but that is like how like 60% is like that is like the borderline between passing and failing. It's 30% in his class.
That's insane. I remember you telling me that.
And 80% is still in like an A- or something like that.
Yeah.
Like he's weighted it very weirdly, just because I think he just doesn't want to fail anyone, and he just knows no one gives a fuck about gen ed. So
yeah, but this is gonna be a very long podcast because I have to reset the camera almost. But you came in the perfect time, because I was just about to go over your match. Like, you came in.
Oh, you're going over each match?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And
you're doing too much.
Yeah, but
we're trying to fit too much into these podcasts, man.
Yeah. But I just like documentation. That's all. My documentation side of me is getting to me way too much. Like I
just feel like, yeah, I mean, documentation's sake for sure.
But I guess I could always just
But like
screenshot it.
our fantasy stuff, like I feel like no one really comes here to look at our fantasy stuff.
I don't really care.
Like you look at yeah, you're having fun, but
well, I mean that's why it's like at the end of the podcast. Like no
Yeah.
one's going to honestly like listen to this section of it, and that's why we put the.
hey, as long as you are aware of that and are still
Yeah.
fine recording it.
But yeah, wait, did we ever go? I was just thinking, did we ever go over our like point system in this podcast?
Was it like? What do you mean?
Like how we get points in this league? Cause you changed it up a little bit. Can we go?
It's really nothing that major. Like I really didn't do too much. We're a points per reception league, but it's only half a point. A lot of people do full point, but I feel like that gives wide receivers way too much an advantage.
Or the quarterback.
Quarterbacks, I mean, yeah. So for every 5 passing completions, you lose 0.2 points, but for every pass completed it is 0.02. So you'll still like, it's just like that's a way of like looking at completion rate. It's just like if you have a bad completion rate, then you're not going to get points off of that.
Yeah.
But if you have a good completion rate, then you're going to get points for it. A lot of people don't really have that system, and I feel like that is gives like players like Tom Brady a huge advantage. People who throw a lot but don't necessarily like get a lot of completions.
And then the sacks too.
Sacks, yeah. Because a lot of times quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson, they'll consider rushing and then get tackled, and so that's considered a sack. But if they're turning into a rusher, then that should be like I guess like a tackle for loss, where like you're losing yardage. So I basically said minus 0.5 points for that, because that's about how many yards you lose on a sack.
And then the field goal kickers as
Also,
well.
like players like Wentz, who just got sacked way too much, even though it's not really his fault. Like at some point it is kind of your fault, because like you have to throw in time. That's why I put that. Rushing is the same. Receiving, I don't think I changed.
And then the
anything
kickers.
receiving. Kickers. Oh, kickers. This is like kickers. I just like made sure that they wouldn't get a shit ton of points, because no one really likes kickers. It's kind of a dumb concept, but I still wanted to keep them, but just keep the roll very minimal. So for every attempt, you lose 0.5 points, and you basically make it back. Well, for every extra point attempt, it's minus 1 point, and then you make that point back through making it. So you don't really get points off of points after touchdown. The field goal attempt is minus 0.5, and then you make it back through the point system is like 0 to 39 yard field goal make is a 3, 40 49 is 4, 50 59 is 5, and then made from 60 plus is 6. But if you miss one from 0 to 39, then you also lose another minus 0.5. So basically that's a minus 1 if you miss a field goal in the 0 to 39 range.
So yeah, I was just getting to your game first. Brendan, do you want to have anything to say? I know that you just like talked for a shit ton, but yeah.
I mean, let me look at it. I don't know exactly what went wrong. His team kind of pulled through. Jalen Hurts, Austin not even Eckler. Who else? Joe Mixon did really well for him.
Alright.
I think just on average, his team did better, whereas I had a bunch of players that just didn't pull through, like Colts defense and kicker.
And Harris too. Fucking
Najee Harris he couldn't really get anywhere. But I expect that to be different in the future. Robert Woods, I'm glad didn't I trade him? Yes, I did trade him. I'm glad I traded him, because I feel like on paper he should be better, because he's like one of the only 2 good options on the Rams. That's alongside Cooper Kupp, and they have Matthew Stafford now. But he was just not getting that many targets. I think he was targeted like 3 times against Chicago in a 34-point game. So 4 times, only got 3 catches. He did get a touchdown, which made up for it, but yeah, Cooper Kupp was just like getting targeted way more than him, so I was just like, fuck this.
That's why I hate drafting Woods or Cup, because like they've been around since at least 2017, and it's a dynamic duo, but it's like one pops off randomly, the other pops off randomly, but then they do average throughout the season, and it's not like they're consistently booming, I
don't know how I lost. This is crazy, because Kyler Murray did better than Jalen Hurts, and then DeAndre Hopkins did better than any of his receivers. Like, none of his receivers really did good.
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley, Justin Jefferson, Noah Fant, none of them did good. It was literally just like 2 players on his team, Jalen Hurts and Joe Mixon, that popped off.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to reset the camera.
And that should have been nullified by the fact that Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins popped off. And Jonathan Taylor did just as projected. Underwhelming performances from Najee, Robert Woods, Mike Davis. I guess somewhat George Kittle, kicker and defense.
But yeah.
10 points on the Rams defense. I guess that could have put him over.
Do you want to talk about that trade that you had?
Yes, I will talk about that trade. So I tried to trade with Trey for Keenan Allen, and he said, I'll think about it, even though it was so clearly in his favor. And so I said, fuck you, I'm going somewhere else. So I tried doing a similar trade for Calvin Ridley. I worked my way up, and he ended up very hesitant because he saw how highly Calvin Ridley was like rostered and like his projected points. He's like, yeah, he had a bad week, like, but I think he'll still do well. I was like, okay, fine. How about Justin Jefferson, his other receiver, and Brandon Ayuk, because Brandon Ayuk is like on the downtrend right now just because he's injured. Hasn't been active on the rosters. He didn't receive a target at all against the Lions, which is like weird.
That is weird.
Even though he was expected to have a good year. It's just like, for injury's sake, the coaches have just like put him lower in the depth chart. Maybe I don't really know what's happening. So I got Justin Jefferson and Brandon Ayuk for Jamar Chase and Robert Woods. Jamar Chase has a stock rise, and so I was like, you know what, sell high. I don't know if he'll be able to keep it up. Maybe he will. Maybe he'll have a Justin Jefferson type rookie year, but I'm going for like a more consistent, like, for sure player in Justin Jefferson, who will average more points per game as of projected right now. And then Robert Woods is just like, yeah, he's such a like a weird mix up. Like, I don't even know like how to like handle that. Like, is he the type of player you only put in dependent on the matchup? Like, I don't know. I don't even want to give myself that headache, so I just removed it. And I'm just like, you know what? I can always just depend on DeAndre Hopkins and Justin Jefferson. Mm-hmm. Anytime they're active in a week, I just know I put them in. Never even have to consider if I have to put someone else in. It's always going to be them too. Yeah. So that was the philosophy. Whereas like on Brendan's side, he's getting rid of a wide receiver who is on a major downtrend for a rookie receivers on the uptrend, and then also getting Robert Woods for Justin Jefferson just to even it out. I think it helped both of us just because he doesn't really have an issue with receivers necessarily. It was just the fact that Brandon Ayuk was kind of like a question mark. And he has receivers that will make up for Justin Jefferson's loss, especially now that I gave him Jamar Chase and Robert Woods. He also still has Deontay Johnson and Mike Evans, who are like Deontay Johnson and Mike Evans. So
yeah. Oh, and I just want to say too, the trade that we did is the most cursed trade ever. Oh, yeah. For me, because fucking the one Edwards got out for the entire season for me, and then this past game Mostert just got hurt. I don't know how long that's going to be. Is that season ending or?
Mostert, no, it looks like 8 weeks.
Yeah, so Mostert 8 weeks that he's going to be done for. He keeps getting injured because he got injured a lot last year, and then fucking 49ers team as a whole has just been getting hurt this past week, which is, I don't know how they keep getting hurt, but.
Oh, did you look at waivers?
No.
Because they just processed this morning.
Really?
I'm the only one who did anything. Lol. It's funny.
Wait, what does the waivers mean? Is that just like.
Waivers is getting players.
Like we can pick up players now? Or I'm so confused on what waivers are.
Wait, I mean, we did this last year too, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like in the middle of the season, you try to make a claim on a player, and it prioritizes the teams that have a worse standing in the league to be able to get that player.
Mm-hmm. But okay. But I have Mostert and Edwards out, and I'm going to probably drop Mostert. So the only good tight end or only good player that I not hurt is Robert Tonyan, and fuck Robert Tonyan because like he's like one of the most overhyped tight ends ever. Meanwhile, you still have Gaskin and Thomas. What was the third player that you got? Oh wait, no,
I dropped him immediately.
Yeah, but yeah, he got Zach Moss, but then he dropped him. But you got Logan Thomas and.
You missed out then, the waivers thing, because I thought you would immediately replace Raheem Mostert with Elijah Mitchell, who I put a claim on and got.
Is that the running back that you were talking about? So,
the running back on the 49ers, who he's a rookie, and people expect might make a James Robinson type run.
Really? Damn it. I wasn't even paying attention, to be honest.
I tried to say in the Snapchat group chat, but I don't know if you saw it.
I saw it, but like I was half asleep and I didn't process. But okay, so to wrap this podcast up, instead of me saying like, I'm still going to say the rest of the statistics, but from now on I'm just going to screenshot it because I feel like that would be more effective, and so the podcast aren't like fucking a million hours long, but so that it like eases my documentarian itch as well. So now at the end of each podcast, I'm just going to screenshot the scores and put it end, and then we can just like roughly like talk about them skimly. And if like any players did okay, then we can like talk about it more. But all right, so Brendan's side, Jalen Hurts got 28.6 points. Derrick Henry got 9.2 points. Austin Eckler 11.7 points. Calvin Ridley got 7.6 points. Justin Jefferson got 10.06 points. Noah Fant got 9.2 points. Joe Mixon got 24 points. Rams defense got 10 points. Greg Zuerlein got 6 points. And his bench, he got a total of 51 points on his bench. So his bench didn't do too good, but I mean, 3 of the players didn't even play it. I don't think. But Hilaire got 8 points, 8.7 points. Mike Evans got 3.9 points. Carson got 11.2 points. Deontay Johnson got 12.1 points. Ayuk, Geskin, and Ingram all got 0 points, and Tua got 15.1 points. But on Titus's side, Kyler Murray got 32.58 points. Jonathan Taylor got 14.6 points. Najee Harris got 5.4 points. DeAndre Hopkins got 23.3 points. Robert Woods got 10.9 points. George Kittle got 9.8 points. Mike Evans got 8.7 points. Colts got 4.5 points. Blankenship got 2.5 points. Titus's defense actually did really, really good. And if he would have just plugged in one more player, then he would have won. But Matthew Stafford got 26.4 points. Jamar Chase got 20.0 points. Fuller got 0 points. Corey Davis got 24.2 points. Bears defense got 1 point. Logan Thomas got 10.5 points. Gaskin got 10.1 points. And Hines got 11.2 points. So, yeah, that's the matchup there.
Wait,
and
did you look at the bench?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I'm telling you, my documentary itch is just fucking unreal, and I have a problem. I have a problem, Titus. I have a problem with documenting.
I agree.
That's why I'm just going to screenshot it, because it itches my documentary itch, and so we don't have to fucking go over every little fucking thing, you know.
But you just did.
Yeah, but for this one, but like that idea just like popped in my head, and I'm not going to do it for this podcast because I'm already too invested in saying every points, you know. So Licia and Josh played. Josh actually played really well. He beat Licia of 1-0. I swear to God, if Josh has a better record than me, I'm going to fucking throw my shit.
I mean, he does.
Well, I mean, like at the end of the season, you bitch. But yeah, he had 116.11 points to 95.25 points with Licia. So fucking every single matchup is just a domination for this week. So here we go, fucking again, the last one. And I'm sorry, guys. Well, I mean, I don't think anyone's at this point in the podcast, to be honest. But Russell Wilson got 26.4 points. Ezekiel Elliott got 4.9 points. Josh Jacobs got 16.5 points. Metcalf got 14 points. A.J. Brown got 12.9 points. Chris Herndon got 0 points. Amari Cooper got 33.4 points. Patriots defense got 8.5 points. Lambo got negative 0.5. Then his bench got 80 points. Cooper Kupp got 21.99 points. DJ Moore got 12.4 points. Kareem Hunt got 15.6 points. Damian Harris got 11.7 points. Tyler Higbee got 9.3 points. Matt Ryan got 5.88 points. Zach Ertz got 4.4 points. And Ronald Jones got negative 0.6 points. On Licia's side, Dak Prescott got 29.16 points. Saquon Barkley got 3.2 points. Darian Henderson Jr. got 15.2 points. Tyreek Hill got 33.29 points. Julio Jones got 4.4 points. Mark Andrews got 3.5 points. Odell Beckham Jr. got 0 points. Buccaneers defense got negative 0.5 points. Justin Tucker got 7 points. On her bench average had 79.5 points, but Tom Brady got 28.2 points. Curran Sutton got 1.9 points. Bills defense got 6.5 points. Graham Gano got 0 points. Juju Smith-Schuster got 7.2 points. James Conner got 5.3 points. Melvin Gordon the third got 20.99 points, and Singletary got 9.5 points. And I feel bad for Alicia because she was asking about Odell Beckham Jr. if she should play him this round, and I said yeah, but I didn't realize that he was hurt. But I think that was a last-minute decision anyways.
It was a game-time decision. He was questionable, and it was a game-time decision.
Yeah.
He was just going to warm up and see what happens, and, well, they saw what happened.
Yeah, but if she would have put in Melvin Gordon, then she would have won.
Yeah. Melvin Gordon did good. I also did a claim on Browns defense instead of Chicago, as in I put Chicago back in free agency. Because Browns is playing Houston this week.
That's a smart move, honestly.
Colts are playing Rams. Chicago's playing Bengals. I'm both like very unsure about that. And then, you know, Browns Houston, I have high hopes for that.
Yeah. But yeah, that was just a mouthful, and I don't know why I did that.
Listen, I can't tell you.
Like, I'm just going to start screenshotting, like I said before. I'm not even going to fucking go over the next opponents because I've already wasted enough time.
I would just say like, oh, so and so underperformed. So and so.
Yeah.
Did better than projected.
Yeah. But we're just going to do that from now on. Just like a brief summary of the fantasy.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, but I'm just going to start screenshotting it too because I just want to.
Oh, I play Alicia. Ooh, Saquon Barkley against Washington. He's already questionable and he has to play that defense.
Wait, how do you go to the opponents?
Fantasy cast. You never gone to fantasy cast before?
I have. I just forget. Like, this ESPN is so confusing. Like, I just forget how to. I have a 10-second ad. But I play anti-vax. I play Josh. I hope I win. And then Esposito Fries plays Belchow. Sophia plays Claudia. And Brendan plays Trey. I just hope that I don't lose. Like, I just don't want to lose. But yeah, so that's the end of the podcast.
Damn.
What?
Sophia's team is just crazy. She's projected 122.
Hers is so fucking good.
Lamar Jackson, Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb, Stephon Diggs, Terry McLaurin, TJ Hawkinson, David Montgomery. Yeah, David Montgomery looks really good right now.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm going to wrap it up now because it's already way too long. And we'll update you next week. So thanks for watching. Bye.